In this video, I'll show you 3 specific ways I use Claude every single week to automate the parts of editing that aren't creative but that just eat up a lot of your time. And stick around for the third one. I think it's one of the most underrated use cases for Claude when it comes to video editing that almost nobody is really talking about. Let's start with the one that gave me the most time back the fastest, because anyone watching this can do it today even if you've never touched a line of code or written a single script. Every editor working on long form content has the same problem. You're handed a 90-minute podcast, an hour-long interview, a live stream that needs to be turned into a 12-minute YouTube video, and before you can edit anything, you need to know what's actually in it, where the good moments are, which 30 seconds are going to be taken out of that 90 minutes and is going to make the cut. The old way is scrubbing. You play the file at 2x speed, you write down timestamps, you go back, you rewatch, you argue with yourself just to know what you're working with. Here's what I do now. I take the transcript. Most editing softwares can export one automatically, or you can run the audio through any transcription tool, and I save it as a text file. Then I open Claude, paste in the whole transcript and ask for something specific, not find me the good parts specific, something like pull 30 to 90 second segments that have a strong opening line, a self-contained insight, and a clear payoff. Claude's able to read the whole thing very quickly, and it gives me back a list of clips with timestamp, what makes each one work, and short titles I can use for the shorts. I review the list in 5 minutes, pull the time codes that I need into my timeline, and I'm editing. The hours of scrubbing are gone. Now, this isn't the right approach for every project. If you've already shot the footage yourself and you know what's in it, you probably don't need this, but when the turnaround time is tight, when you've got a 90-minute podcast that needs shorts clipped from it by tomorrow morning, this is when Claude saves you the most time and can really help you out. And there's another way to use this that I think is even more valuable. After you've gone through the transcript yourself and picked the clips you think are the strongest, you can compare your picks against what Claude thinks was valuable too. When they line up, that's your confirmation that what you saw mattered. When they don't, Claude is showing you something that you might have missed, a moment you didn't think had weight that maybe it actually does. It becomes a second opinion on your edit, like having another editor in the room who happens to read the whole transcript in about 30 seconds. Now, obviously, I would trust your judgment over Claude's judgment, but it is a nice second opinion to have. The reason this matters is because podcast clip work and long form to shorts repurposing is a very profitable niche in editing right now, and a lot of editors avoid it because of the amount of prep time that it takes and the amount of hours you're spending just watching footage. Using this method, you can cut out a lot of the prep work and suddenly you can take on those clients. And like I said, this isn't going to work for every single type of client, but for those clients that do prioritize having things done quickly over having the most perfect polished piece of content, this can definitely be a lifesaver. That's the first way I use Claude. The next one moves from text to visuals, and it's something most editors wouldn't ever think to try because it usually takes a lot of experience inside After Effects or other specialized motion graphic software. If you've ever watched a high-end YouTube channel and wondered how their lower thirds, their animated charts look that clean, that kind of work used to take editors a lot of time per graphic, and it usually means building templates from scratch that can be reused or buying them outright. If you're a beginner editor, that side of video editing probably felt out of reach or too advanced. Now there's a tool called Remotion that changes this. It lets you build videos with code instead of dragging keyframes around a timeline. You write what you want it to do and it renders out a video file, and Claude is able to write that code for you. I'm able to do this with something that I use called Claude Code, which is a version of Claude that works inside your terminal or the app, and it writes code directly into your project. I describe the exact motion graphic that I want. Maybe it's something like a horizontal bar chart that animates in left to right with these values in this font with this brand style, and Claude is able to build it, and I render it out as an MP4 and I drop it into my Premiere timeline just like any other video clip. Now, the setup for this is simpler than it might sound. You need a Claude Pro subscription, which is around $20 a month. Then you can go to the Remotion website, paste a few commands into your terminal, and that's basically it. Once you're set up, you can build custom motion graphics on demand without ever having to open up After Effects. And I feel like for what you get, for what you have to put in, this is a very valuable tool. That covers building motion graphics from scratch. Now we're at the workflow I teased at the start, the one I think is the most underrated of the 3, and the one that not a lot of other people are talking about. Editing software like Premiere, DaVinci, and After Effects all let you run scripts, which are pieces of code that do something inside the software automatically. Maybe it's applying effects to 100 layers at once, building a project file from a template, batch renaming clips, generating keyframes on a precise pattern, stuff that would take you hours to do by hand, but you're able to click a button and it's done. The reason most editors don't use scripts is that you have to write the code, and most editors aren't also programmers. However, Claude is. Let me give you a real example from my own workflow. Every week I edit article headlines into my videos, and there's a chunk of setup that's almost identical every time. The same vignette, the same Gaussian blur to isolate the headline I'm pointing to on the page, the Lumetri color settings to keep the look consistent, and a highlight line that animates across the text from left to right. The only thing I change manually is how the camera moves, the rotation, and the scaling, because I don't want every article to animate in exactly the same way. Everything else can stay consistent. Because that consistency is part of the brand of how this channel is edited, I've been reusing that one script for months now. It used to be some of the most tedious, time-consuming setup in my whole process, and now I can skip straight to the creative part, deciding how I want to move the article and reveal it to the viewer. And I'll tell you exactly how I built it. I thought about everything my manual process actually involved and broke it down into individual pieces. The vignette, the color grade, the blur, the highlight animation, all of it. As granular and as simple as I can make each step, then I described those individual pieces to Claude one by one, and we went back and forth, fine-tuning until the output matched exactly what I've been doing manually by hand. It took me something like 18 revisions to get there, but once I did, I had the final version I've been using ever since. The work that used to take hours of my time now only takes me seconds, and I've been able to benefit from it every single week since I created that script. And if you try this yourself and you run into an error, which you probably will at some point if you try it, the fix is pretty simple. Screenshot whatever error After Effects or whatever editing software you're using throws at you, and you can just paste it back into Claude and just ask it how to resolve it. Then you do that again and again until it works. If you stick with it, you'll get the output that you're looking for, and honestly, you'll learn a ton along the way.